I'm Rome and I'm too based. Ben Shapiro doesn't understand Superman. Ben Shapiro recently came out with a review of the Superman movie made by James Gunn, and oh boy, it's utter dog shit. He doesn't understand the character, and I guarantee he has never read a Superman comic book. The things he says in this video are direct evidence for it, and I will expose them today. Drop a like and subscribe if you like the video. Kick your feet up, sit back, smoke a blunt or light a bowl, and enjoy.
Man, this shit is garbage.
Tonight, we're getting fucked up.
He's not very super. He is not the Man of Steel. He is not invulnerable. He gets his ass kicked routinely. He gets locked up in a prison with a character who's making kryptonite out of his hands.
Sorry, what?
He is constantly in victim mode.
Now, I've heard a few people say this other than Ben Shapiro, and I gotta say, I don't really understand this as an issue with the movie. This is supposed to be this version's of Superman origin into the DCU. Now, one of Superman's biggest gripes he gets is that he's fucking boring.
Doesn't need you. Tell me.
Oh, no.
Do you bleed?
Because he is so overpowered, because he can do almost anything, so he just comes across as very white bread, very vanilla, very boring. And I kind of share that sentiment. Giving him some actual challenge spices up his character. And no, this isn't just me saying this.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
One of the best-selling comic books, and the best-selling comic book of the entire year of 1992, is Superman 75, The Death of Superman. Superman getting his ass whooped, even to fucking death, still stands as one of his best-selling stories. And looking at the box office of this movie, clearly this wasn't a bad idea. I think this just makes the movie more interesting. And you're talking about Metamorpho as if he's just some random chode. This guy has been in comic books since like 1965. And you're acting as if Lex Luthor isn't one of the smartest people next to like Brainiac and Mr. Terrific in the entire DCU. They explain in the movie that Lex can't get any more kryptonite. So of course he would get Metamorpho to create kryptonite with his hands.
Like Green Lantern has much more success in this movie. Mr. Terrific has much more success in this movie than Superman. Superman's parents from Krypton, if you're going to go through the mythology, send him to Earth so that he can be a moral guide for people on Earth using his great powers to stop evil from happening to them. In this movie, his parents from Krypton send him there. This is the big revelation of the movie. His parents send him there to dominate the life on Earth as an alien invasion, essentially.
Now, I'll be the first person to say that comic book movies should follow comic books, but I will also say that change is fine as long as it fits within the narrative of that story. Don't believe me? Go ahead, watch Iron Man 3 again. I know this is DC, but still, crack open that book. Find a single fucking soul on this planet that would have rather had the fucking Mandarin as he's seen in the comic books when he has the fucking Fu Manchu.
And to create a harem of Earth women to have his many babies.
Well, sign me up.
So immediately you're taking the expectation of what you know about his Krypton parents and flipping it on its head. His parents, Ma and Pa Kent, in the original, they are noble and they are wise. They're kind of salt of the earth. Here, they're basically kind of, I don't know, like down home types who don't seem to, they live in a kind of a crappy house. They're the kind of people who call the TV the box. They're the kind of folks who are sitting around and you know, kind of scratching their butts.
This has easily got to be one of the worst even, I don't even know what it is, gripes to have with the movie. It doesn't even make sense. What do you want them to do? They are fucking elderly farmers. They are old farmers in Kansas, rural fucking Kansas. Of course, they live in a pretty small house. They're old, so of course they're gonna call the fucking TV the box or whatever. And what do you want them to do? Do you want them to be fighting crime, fucking side by side with Clark?
Supergirl, who you get introduced to for a hot second at the very end, Supergirl is a drunken teenage brat. Right, like anything that you think you know about the Superman universe, James Gunn is determined to debunk in the first half hour of the film.
Except in the comics, she has gotten drunk in a trench coat that is brown. So it's almost as if James Gunn did this based off a comic book rather than to debunk the comic books. It's almost as if one Google search would save you gallons of embarrassment and looking like a fucking fool.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
So Green Lantern is there, and he's kind of just a schmuck, and he's there as comic relief. And then you have Mr. Terrific, who's the actual hero of the film, who you learn nothing about other than he's just kind of a noble do-gooder fellow. And you have all these superheroes who are wandering around. You never get any information about them that makes them interesting or sympathetic or even particularly cool. But you don't know the motivations of any of the villains except for Lex, who it turns out is just really kind of jealous of Superman because Superman has superpowers, and Lex is like, I'm really smart, and Superman is really strong, so why do people like Superman more than they like me?
He said so many dumb things in a row, it's actually fucking absurd. First off, they are side characters. Guy Gardner and fucking Hawk Girl are background characters. You're not supposed to see some grandiose character arc for our characters who get 20 minutes of fucking screen time or less. That's such a dumb straw man and boil down of the story. Lex Luthor isn't mad that Superman has powers and he doesn't. Lex Luthor is mad over the fact that Superman was just thrust onto Earth. Superman was just sent to Earth and just automatically given this attention. This is what Lex believes. He's envious over the love and attention given to Superman for what he thinks is nothing. I have nothing! He doesn't think Superman has done anything worthy of this attention. Are we just forgetting that half of the main fucking plot of the movie is Lex trying to ruin his reputation? Because that's what he's envious about. When he's talking about his name compared to people like Galileo, he says, well, at least Galileo did something. This is implying that he thinks Superman has done nothing.
Because he's James Gunn and everything has to be some sort of dumb joke. You're like, well, shouldn't Superman be doing something about it? No, let them handle it. Again, that's irritating.
Benny boy, this is what we call world building. James Gunn is establishing with this shot that this is a superhero universe. Superman isn't the only alien. He isn't the only one with powers. They even make it a sole part of the joke that these imps are more seen as annoying. They're not really hard to deal with. If they were hard, Superman would go and help. But he knows that the Justice Gang got it.
As far as the plot itself makes very little sense. The plot is basically that Lex Luthor has decided that he is going to make a deal with a foreign politician who the left wants to believe is both Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu, but actually is just kind of nothing.
I mean, like, yeah, I agree. The dictator in the movie isn't a direct one-to-one parallel with Netanyahu or Putin, but all three of these people have illegally invaded land and committed war crimes. There are similarities.
Is going to invade another country, and Superman stops that invasion. Apparently, Lex wants to use this as an excuse to box up Superman, saying that he's running counter to American foreign policy. Now, we've seen that iteration in other movies, right? That was in Batman versus Superman. You've seen it in other versions of the Superman story, but it's not really taken kind of to its ultimate extreme politically. In any case, it turns out that what he really wants is to annex half of this separate country. He's going to split it with this other dictator. One major plot hole. Lex Luthor is obviously the smartest person in the film. So smart, he can create his own universes. This is a major plot point. And he is concerned about a relatively small piece of land occupied by third worlders. This is his big plan.
And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I mean when I say that this guy doesn't understand comic books. He doesn't understand Superman or any of the characters surrounding it. I don't know if this guy has picked up on any of the thousands of hints given in the movie, but Lex Luthor is egotistical. Lex Luthor has an ego the size of fucking Mars. Him getting that plot of land isn't just merely an intelligent play to help progress the future of humanity. No, he's egotistical. He wants a place that he can call his own, where people are under his rule and they worship him. This is literally shown because he names the place Luthoria. He names it after himself because he's an egotistical maniac.
And later it turns out that he said, oh, no, I started that war just so that I could get people to turn against Superman. Okay, well, he does that halfway through the film. And then he jails him, and then he leaves him alive and explains this secondary plan that apparently was his primary plan, sort of. But he doesn't kill Superman at the time for a reason that remains undisclosed.
Well, no, there is a reason. It's a Superman movie, so of course Superman isn't going to lose at the first chance possible. Is this your first time watching anything?
The entire plot is a complete mess. If you try to chart it, there's no way to do it because James Gunn doesn't care about plot. James Gunn doesn't care about characters. James Gunn cares about jokes and aesthetics. That's what James Gunn cares about.
I mean, nice opinion, bro, but his directing has led to some of the best Marvel projects we've ever seen. Guardians of the Galaxy, fuck Marvel, superhero projects in general. Look at Suicide Squad 2, that shit's heat. You can say he doesn't care about plot, but it's only through his directing that he's been able to make characters that we really didn't know and make them household names. People who have just watched a Marvel movie here and there know who Star-Lord is. The Guardians originally were very niche, and very few people had actually read their comic books.
Okay, the visuals are, when I say a mess, I mean that the visuals are CGI vomit, like complete CGI vomit. So James Gunn has an addiction to kind of gross and weird imagery, which doesn't really fit in the context of the, again, Americana that is Superman.
Now, things like what's visually appealing will always come down to opinion, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm objectively correct and that they're objectively good, but fact of the matter is, Superman is an alien who consistently fights other aliens all the fucking time. He consistently fights supervillains and all type of weird, wacky shit. So saying this doesn't fit into the context of Superman is just so fucking stupid. Now, of course, I understand that Benny Boy here has never read a single Superman comic book in his life, and because he's a fucking fossil, he's only ever watched the 1973 movie. One of Superman's main villains is Doomsday, a literal fucking Frankenstein's monster.
You never really get a kinetic scene of Superman doing something cool.
Some people are really fucking stupid.
You have multiple scenes of giant heavy objects falling on Superman and Superman stopping the giant heavy objects from falling to save an individual. Again, another plot hole. You'll have giant building. The entire building will fall, and he will stop the building from falling to save one person or a chipmunk who is in the way.
See, this is why I say that Ben Shapiro doesn't understand Superman's character. He literally says that he doesn't do anything cool and then proceeds to name the cool things he does. You don't think Superman, the superhero, saving people is cool? You think he has to save a group of people from being fucking squanched by a building for it to be cool? Compared to Zack Snyder Superman, I think that is why James Gunn went all out showing that this Superman is a superhero who saves people. He will go out of his way to save anyone, because I don't know if this guy knows this or not, but Superman's character is entrenched in the idea that all life is valuable.
But it's an entire building full of people, so presumably all those people are dead.
You stupid bitch.
See, this dickhead hasn't even watched the movie. He literally adds a clip of Superman saving a woman who's in a car as a building's about to fall on her, not even understanding that she was evacuating the city. All the cars are going over the bridge, and she's the last fucking one, and then he saves her, and then he rises out the smoke. That's what we're talking about. That's some Superman shit. Not only is it super, your argument makes no sense. There is nobody in that building, presumably. They evacuated. This guy's a tool. He doesn't even watch the movies, yet he wants to review them.
Shut your stupid ass up.
I know, this is what people are waiting for. They're waiting for my political rip on this film. So we've been told this is a movie about illegal immigration. Not really. Honestly, like you have to look to find that. There's one line where Clark is saying, aren't you going to read me my rights? James Gunn's politics is so ham-handed, like truly ham-handed, that it doesn't even read as political, it just reads as stupid. So there's a moment where Clark, he's being arrested, and he says, aren't you going to read me my rights? And one of the members of the government says, well, you're now considered an enemy alien, or you don't have any rights because you're not an American. All right. Like, if that's supposed to be some sort of like anti-ICE sentiment, it's really weak.
I wouldn't say it's weak at all, considering that people have actually been deported in violation of their rights and or haven't been told their rights, or their rights have just been disregarded to deport them anyways. And considering that ICE has contributed to that issue, I don't really see this as being weak. Now, I don't actually see this as even a dig at ICE, but if we want to construe it that way, even then it'd still be accurate. It doesn't have to be strong or weak. If it's accurate, which it is, then it's accurate. If it's not, then it's not.
There's a suggestion that he says truth, justice, and the human way. I didn't catch that anywhere in the film. The sort of social media politics that social media is stupid and rigged by bots, which, I mean, I think everybody sort of agrees on at this point, and there's a really dumb visual joke where Alexis set up actual monkeys typing into computers as his bots. It's like, oh, God. But that's so James Gunn. Again, it's all so... I just don't like James Gunn.
So if you don't like it, then bounce.
There is a country called Moravia, and this country called Moravia is run by essentially a corrupt dictator who's working with Lex Luthor, and it invades another sovereign country, Jarhanpur. Okay, and so Superman stops that. The people of Jarhanpur are brown.
Look at my African-American over here.
The people of Moravia are white. Okay, so this is why the left is reading this as Israel, the Palestinians. The reason it doesn't work that way is because we are not made aware that the people of Jarhanpur are either wildly terrorism supportive, that they have participated in multiple terrorist attacks on the people of Moravia. They're led by a corrupt dictatorship that murders gay people, right? None of that's in the movie. So it doesn't match up that way.
No! Who'da thunk it? Another thing that Benny Boy is wrong about. People aren't comparing the two because it's white people versus brown people, you absolute ignoramus. People are comparing the two because A, you have a very developed place versus a very underdeveloped place, so it's very unfair. B, one side is allied with America, the other side isn't. C, one side is invading the other, killing children, bombing hospitals. We don't see bombing hospitals in the movie, but we do see a soldier try to kill a child. And we know for a fact that this has happened. The IDF have consistently killed and bombed children, aid trucks, and all that, despite all the propaganda you see and all the fucking weirdos and self-hating black people you see who get paid to go there and show off how much food is there and how the liberal media is lying to you.
If I were Israel, I wouldn't even provide matching socks to Gaza. But here's all the aid that y'all claim doesn't exist.
Nigga, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Little side note about this guy. Now, forget the fact that he's black. He's gay. How does it feel to be a gay Republican? How does it feel to be a part of the side that does not want you to have rights? How does it feel to be a part of the side that look at you and just because you were born liking penis, they'd fucking end you if they could? Fact of the matter is, and it's crazy that I have to say this, but there has been a terrorist or something of that nature from every single country in the world. This does not justify illegally invading that country and trying to kill innocent people. A thing that we know the IDF have done. Now, of course, Ben is a Zionist. He's Jewish, so that kind of adds up. Not saying all Jewish people are Zionists, but that it logically tracks that he would be, especially because he's also voting for the rapist and the fucking 34-time convicted criminal. He obviously is morally bankrupt. And to add on to that, I have my own feelings about religion, but he follows the Old Testament, or the Tanakh, how they say it. I don't want to butcher it, but the Hebrew Bible, and God of that Bible is evil, same as in the New Testament and Christianity in general. The Abrahamic God is evil as fuck. Massacring children as seen in Exodus, specifically Exodus 11, or permitting slavery as seen in Leviticus 25, 44 through 46. These things are just justified by these people. Wanna know why? They have nothing but straight moral bankruptcy. They are bad people to their core. Most religious people are, but that's a different topic.
And the idea that Moravia is Israel in this iteration, like a longtime U.S. ally that's randomly invading countries for territorial gain, that does not match up to any of the facts on the ground that we know of at all.
Israel has been pushing into Gaza. They want that land, and they will commit however many war crimes they need to get it. Bombing hospitals, bombing aid trucks, whatever they gotta do to get that land.
That is not real. So maybe in left-wing brain, that's how it reads. I could see if you're a left-winger and you don't know anything about the situation, or you think a bunch of false things, you could read that maybe. You could also read this as Russia-Ukraine because it's one sovereign country that's invading another sovereign country, and because the leader of Moravia has a Russian accent. So I guess that if you have like poison left brain.
Yes, Benny, you hit the nail on the head, man. Absolutely. My mind is poisoned. Not you, the guy who voted for the liable rapist who tried to insert the country. Not you, the guy who literally agrees with Lex fucking Luthor in this movie. Not you, who said that Arabs like to bomb crap and live in open sewage, and that's a quote, by the way. He also said that majority of Palestinians are nothing but, quote unquote, terrorist thugs or terrorist enablers. Now, Hamas is terroristic, sure, but I'm not so sure about the children, which make up 50% of the Gaza Strip, who get sniped and bombed on a daily basis.
Well, because take Superman just as a character. Superman is unbelievably powerful, unstoppable. He's faster than anyone. He has X-ray and laser vision. He's stronger than anyone, right? He's basically a god on earth, and the biggest god on earth. He's Zeus, right? He can do whatever he wants. And so, why is he the good guy? Why isn't Lex Luthor right? Because, let's be real, if there were a person on earth who actually had those powers, Americans would rightly be very much afraid of that. Correctly. As Federalist 51 suggests, you need ambition to counteract ambition. If any one person had ultimate power, what you're really talking about is a philosopher king. And that's pretty scary because that person could be a dictator, simply doing whatever they want to the world.
Clearly, it doesn't scare you. You voted for one of those. You voted for a man who gets called a bitch on Twitter, so he wants to send the National Guard out. A man who tries to overthrow his own country. You vote for a man who says weird shit about his daughter and about 10-year-old kids. You vote for a man who's a liable rapist. You vote for a man who goes against the Constitution in every way, to the point that almost all of his legislation gets blocked because it's unconstitutional. You talk about loving the American way, but you don't like America.
The only reason why Superman would be a hero as opposed to a villain is because he grew up in America, because he has the American way, right? He's emblematic of what America is.
Incorrect. It's not because he's raised in America. It's because he's raised as a human. As we see in this movie, the Kryptonians are not pure-blooded. They're not the best people ever. They send Clark in this version to go and enslave Earth. He is not good because he is American. That's some fucking horseshit. You're just saying that you can only be a good person if you're American. That's some nonsense. He is good because he is raised as a human, so he sees human life as valuable. Therefore, it matters to him to save it. That's literally a core part of the movie when he's talking to Lex about how, Lex, you're wrong. I am a human. I get scared and all that. This is the point. It's not because he's fucking American. It's because he's a human. I also want to tackle this insane-ass question. Why is Lex Luthor wrong? He's wrong, you fucking ingrate. Because committing war crimes just because you want territory is not a good thing. Bombing children is not a good thing to do. Losing 1,000 people and then killing 50,000 is not a good thing to do. I understand you're a Zionist, so this might be a little hard for you to comprehend. Lex Luthor is wrong because he is illegally funding an invasion directly resulting into the deaths of innocent people for money and territory. Now again, you vote for the dictator who kinda does the same fucking shit in some ways, so clearly you have lost the fucking plot. The plot was never there for you to begin with.
May blunder, may make mistakes, but overall stands for freedom and liberty and private property and free speech and all of those things.
All that stuff.
Right? All the good American stuff. There's a great comic book called Superman Red Sun. It's an alternative universe in which Superman's capsule from Krypton lands in Soviet Russia. And he grows up as the emblem of Soviet Russia. And he's evil because he grew up in Soviet Russia. Because if you give that power, that amount of power to an evil ideology, then evil ensues.
No, actually, that's just called drinking the Kool-Aid, alright? You drink a nice big glass of like anti-communist propaganda. See, as if communism as an idea isn't better than capitalism, as if the commodification of natural resources needed to live is a good thing. And I bet you even support the rich working class getting all those tax benefits and getting all those tax cuts from Trump while fucking over the poor. I bet you love it, don't you? Talk about valuing truth, yet you actually support the system that commits billions of dollars in wage theft every year, and in order to even make money, you have to devalue your labor. You have to purposefully pay the people who do your labor less than they are worth to turn a profit. This is what you support.
So this is why it's really important. It's not just truth, justice, and the human way, or truth, justice, and all that good stuff. There's a specific definition of Americanism that says that this is why America, for example, should be a world power. Because America is better than other countries. And people who live in accordance with Americanism make the world better if they have more power.
Well, duh, we're the imperialists. So of course the countries we imperialize are going to be worse than us.
And we should jail him. And we should check and balance him. And we should not let him be free. The problem is that Hollywood cannot say the American way because they don't believe in the American way. They don't believe that America is unique. They don't believe in these American basic values and principles and rights. They have a hard time even with the idea that like the values of Ma and Pa Kent back on the farm are values that ought to be promulgated in the best of all possible circumstances. And so what they come away with in kind of the key moment in this movie, for example, is Pa Kent telling Clark that parents don't make missions for their kids, right? They don't make their kids kind of what they are in terms of what they should be. They give kids the tools to choose what they want to be, and then those choices make those kids what they are. Okay, that's kind of half true and half not. Of course, you give your kids the tools to make choices in life, but you also try to define the mission your kid should have in life. That's maybe the most important thing you do as a parent. Direct them in a world of choices at what is the ultimate good, what is the ultimate goal. Hollywood is not run by people who believe that there is such a thing as an ultimate good or an ultimate goal.
Because there isn't an objective good or an objective goal that people should follow.
It's run by moral relativists who have a kind of, at best, soft-pedaled, generic, be nice attitude toward the world, which is why Superman's defense of intervening in this foreign conflict is
People were going to die.
okay, well, people would die on the other side, presumably, if you didn't intervene. Or people die every day in conflicts all over the world. Right? The reason that Clark or Superman is supposed to intervene is because one side is right and one side is wrong.
Again, this is just violently wrong, and we can look at the comic books. Clark doesn't care about who is right and who is wrong. He wouldn't just let all the Russians invading Ukraine die because he thinks they're wrong. That's not what he would do. He would save everybody. He would try to save everybody because he's a human first. That's what Superman's character is. Fuck all this American way shit. It's about him being a human. He was raised on Earth, he was raised as a human, and even though he has these great abilities, that doesn't really change how he acts or how he feels towards humanity. That's literally what part of the plot of the fucking movie is that his parents sent him here to conquer and to, and to get harems of women. Him, as a human, understands that he shouldn't do that. And you say it's a whack message from Pa Kent, but at the end of the day, it's perfectly in line with the story. In the story, his real parents try to tell him what to do, so his adoptive parents say, you don't actually have to do what your parents tell you to do. That's not their job. You don't have to just follow the path that they set you on.
And unless you are willing to simply say that all foreign policy situations in which people die under any circumstances are equivalent, which I don't think is right, then you end up in this kind of weird generic place. The central question of Superman has never really been handled by any movie, and it's certainly not handled here, which is why should one person be given this much power? And the answer is he shouldn't, unless he is essentially just a metaphor for what makes America awesome, which is what Superman was designed to be. This is why Superman in the original comics is punching Hitler.
Yeah, he's punching Hitler because Hitler is evil, but I guarantee he didn't just fucking laser all of the Nazis just because he thought their ideology was wrong, because he values human life first. Holy shit, this guy's dense as a bag of rocks.
Because he is the American way and not the German way or the Soviet way or the Chinese way, which are different things. So again, that is the fatal flaw, I think, for pretty much all Superman movies, but in this one specifically, they don't even bother with any of that. It's cotton candy. You'll watch it. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Maybe you'll be like me and be overcritical. You'll walk away. 2 days later, you won't be thinking about the movie. 2 hours later, you won't be thinking about the movie. Nothing about the movie is going to stick with you. The hero of the movie is the dog. Superman has to be saved multiple times by this, not particularly good dog. I mean, he's a good doggo, I suppose, but he really is badly behaved, this dog. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So my overall review, 2 out of 5 stars. Meh. I think that the stars do their best with bad material given to them by James Gunn.
The worms going in through the mouth and helping him as he's sobbing. And, it's kneeling at the end of the bed, and I was on the other side of the bed for that whole time.
Good job by David Corenswet. Good job by Rachel Brosnahan. Good job by Nicholas Hoult. Good job by Eddie Gathegi. As Mr. Terrific. But, Superman, as I say, super meh.
Now let's just recap, shall we? Ben Shapiro has shown that not only has he never read Superman comics,
No way.
because there are multiple things in the movie that he says are not comic accurate, but they are, down to the fucking panel. He doesn't think Superman being a superhero and saving people is cool. He thinks it's only cool if he's saving people and he's American. He thinks Superman should only focus on what he thinks is right and what he thinks is wrong, and anybody he thinks is wrong, he should just let die. This guy has shown that he didn't even watch the movie. He talks about, aren't they in the building? Aren't they all gonna die? No, you fucking dickhead, because you've seen right before that. You can see cars evacuating. That was the whole thing, is that lady who's about to get fucking squished by the building was the last person to leave, or one of the last people other than the people in the LexCorp building. But I don't understand nearly any of his gripes with the movie. A lot of it is just nostalgia. He's just nostalgic about the old shit-ass Superman movies. A lot of it's just patriotism. He loves America, yet votes for the man who goes against America in every way. And overall, I haven't even dug into his political takes too much, but if I did, I'd cook him there too. Now, I think I've done my due diligence in absolutely exposing that this guy has probably not even watched this movie, let alone read any superhero or Superman media. Remember, if you liked the video, like, subscribe, and protect your holes, I guess.